Narcissistic behaviors, no reply. The rise of social media and smartphones and tablets and the internet has done anything for us at all. It has truly exposed those among us who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. How a person could think it's okay to not respond to someone's text message and then follow up either later on that day or the next day or a few days later with something completely unrelated is truly beyond me. If there's someone that you don't want to form a relationship with, that's a great way to do it. Don't respond to them. Don't reply to them. An appropriate adult thing to do would be to at least tell them why and end the relationship in some kind of way, even if it's just a friendship. Hey, listen, I really don't have the bandwidth for this friendship. I don't have the capacity for this friendship. I can't commit to you as a friend. And I would hate for you to think that you could expect certain things out of me that I just can't give you. So I'm so sorry, but I think we need to end our association. That's the appropriate thing to do, but who's really out here doing that these days, right? So people lie, they duck, they dodge, they don't respond to messages. I'm not talking about that type of situation. I'm talking about a situation where it's two people who are supposed to be either friends or family members or close associates or confidants who are supposed to have a reciprocal type of relationship. But one of them, the narcissist, has a bad habit of not responding to attempts at contact. And if you're on social media at all, oftentimes you'll see memes that say things like, I'm the type of person who'll send back-to-back texts and then not respond to it for a week. Or it'll say something like, I'm the type of person to type out a full response and forget to hit send and then wonder why I'm not getting a reply. Or sometimes I just don't feel like talking. Why don't people understand that? Like, there's tons of memes out there addressing the behavior, justifying the narcissistic behavior. But here's the inherent problem with it. No, I'm not saying that you have to reply immediately to every single text message that comes to your phone. Some of you guys have a lot of friends. And if you spent all your time replying to text messages, you would get nothing else done. You would literally be texting the whole entire day. So I am not saying that you are roped by your phone and you have to bend and respond as soon as someone reaches out to you. What I'm saying is reasonable expectation for a reciprocal exchange. So let's say you're swamped in the morning. Let's say you work or you go to school and your friends text you and you really can't respond right then. The least you could do is when you can respond comfortably. Don't break your neck. Don't rush home to respond to your text. When you can respond comfortably, acknowledge the fact that someone reached out to you and you reply. Even if it's 8 hours later, hi friend, sorry it took me so long to get back to you, been slammed all day. And then acknowledge whatever it is they reached out to you about. Narcissists, however, think it's perfectly fine to ignore somebody's text message and then just kind of move on with life and move on to what they want to talk about. And it goes right back to that selective hearing thing, but it's even more bizarre because this time it's in front of your face. This time letters appeared on your little screen in the form of sentences. You can't actually ignore it this time unless it's Snapchat and you don't pay attention and it disappears on you. But in a regular text message, you can't ignore that. So how can a person look down at their phone, read a message, not reply to it, and then later on send a message to that person that has nothing to do with what they sent earlier? I feel like that's a very profound disconnect, and I think it's indicative of a very, very sick person because, again, it says one of a couple things. It either says you so disregard me or whomever as a human being, you think you are so above reproach that you don't even have to acknowledge things that are sent to you, messages that have been communicated to you. But you expect a reply to the messages that you send to them. Because here's how you know you're dealing with a narcissist. They won't always reply to your messages, but if you don't reply to theirs, they will start to freak out on you. And depending on how high on the chain of a narcissist they are, will depend on how quickly they freak out. So some narcs will freak out within the hour. Other narcs will wait a couple of hours and then be like, hello, did you get my text? Where are you? Da 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 da. Reply to me. They're very demanding when it comes to reciprocating their attention, but when it comes to you, they're very lackadaisical. It's very, ho-hum. If they feel like replying, if they're in the mood, if they remember to hit send, then they'll reply to you. So it's very disregarding of your humanity, and it's very damaging to your self-esteem, whether you realize it or not. Now, as you recover from this, the healthy thing to do, once you see that happening, call them out. Call them out. Hey, did you get my text? Before you even acknowledge what they send to you, you make sure that they acknowledge you first, especially if it's a relationship you can't get out of, like a family relationship, and you're kind of stuck. You have to make sure that you are seen and heard. Hey, did you get my text? Or if you called them and left a voicemail, which, okay, I will say that sometimes phones don't ring. Sometimes you'll get a voicemail notification and you didn't hear your phone ring. And other times, people just don't check their voicemail. I don't know anyone who checks their voicemail sincerely anymore unless they're job hunting. So the phone kind of has some passes. Texts really don't. You have to call them out. Hey, I text you. Did you get that? Well, what did you think? What was your response? Don't let them get away with not acknowledging you, because that's what makes you feel like you don't exist in the world. That's why you feel like you have no boundaries. That's why you don't feel grounded, because these narcissists every day work daily against your sense of self. And part of your sense of self is when you call out, you get a reply. If you were out in the middle of the woods at night and it was pitch black, and you called out and nobody and nothing called back to you, over time you're going to start to wonder, like, do I exist? Am I still real? Because you can't see anything. So you need something to confirm that, yes, I'm here. Yes, you're there. Something hears you and is responding to you. You probably want it to be a person with really good intentions and not a very hungry wild animal. But you get my point. The point is, the way we validate each other and validate each other's existence is by responding to each other, talking to each other, reciprocating, letting each other know that we hear the other person. So when someone doesn't respond to you and yet still attempts to engage in a relationship with you, that's not a healthy person. And it's also not healthy for your self-esteem if you don't call them out on it. You have to hold them accountable for that bad behavior. You have to. You have to bring that to the forefront. They're so accustomed to people letting them slide. Don't let them slide. And eventually, you'll find that they'll respond. Now, most narcissists will slide back into bad behavior because they are deeply and fundamentally, profoundly ill. But for a temporary and short while, they will respond to your expectations. They'll reply. And if they don't, call them out again. You have to be very consistent with these people. Again, they're almost like overgrown 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds are going to push the limits. They're going to test your boundaries. They're going to see what they can get away with. And you have to be consistent with a 4-year-old lest they learn, oh, this one is a soft one. This one we can tip over with a feather and she'll cave as soon as we cry, or as soon as we throw a temper tantrum, she'll give us exactly what we want. And they never grew out of that. They never grew out of that phase, except their temper tantrums are much more quiet now, and they're in the form of manipulation or not replying, feeling like they can disregard you. Elders back in the day would force you to acknowledge them. You don't walk into someone's house and not speak. Are you insane? That's a great way to get in trouble when you got home. You show respect. You acknowledge people. So all this entitlement, and they say this generation is so entitled and careless. Yeah, because we allow them to be. Nobody calls them out on it. And it breeds these adult narcissists who are plaguing everybody's life and making everyone's life miserable. Do not write off this behavior. If you have someone in your life who's engaging in this with you, call them out on it. If they have a very poor response to this, to you calling them out, and you can terminate the relationship, I say terminate it, because you're dealing with a narcissist who doesn't even feel like you have the right to be acknowledged, that your messages mean nothing to them. Regardless of what they're about, you at least have the right to be responded to and heard. And if this person can't give you that much, they don't deserve to be in your life. So really take heed to that. Take a look at that behavior. If you find yourself guilty of that from time to time, stop doing that. It's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for the people that you interact with. If there's someone you just don't want to talk to, now's the time to start practicing, parting in truth and love, separating with people in truth and love, and letting them go so you can be healthy and so they can too. All right? So this is the narcissistic behaviors, no reply. Thanks for listening.